Morning, Ralph. Morning, Sam.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Morning Sam, Morning Ralph. This is the podcast for restaurant technology professionals, and it has been an absolutely crazy week. We're already on episode 17, which is unbelievable. I feel like we started this just a couple of weeks ago, but we are cranking up the subscribers. We are cranking up our distribution channels. People are really latching on to this pod. So you have my heartfelt thanks. Today, I am going to try to tackle an issue that's been frustrating restaurant brands and vendors alike for a really long time. And it's the restaurant technology sales model is fundamentally broken. It's broken, right? I mean, if you're in the sales and marketing game on the restaurant tech side, or you're a vendor, you know this. And today I'm joined by Matt Haselhoff, the principal consultant of One Goal Consulting, who's been on the front lines for a really long time with these challenges. And Matt's here to break down what's wrong, how we can fix it. So welcome to the show, Matt.
Thanks, Paul.
You're one of, I love talking to you because you're one of those great people that loves to keep it real. You keep it real. You've been doing this for a while. You're an industry vet. So Matt, let's jump right in. Why is the restaurant tech sales model broken? And what are some of these core issues that vendors are facing?
Yeah, no, it's a great question, and frankly, been to a lot of shows this year, talking to people like you and others in the industry. And listen, I've been in the industry now 25 plus years,
Yeah.
quite a while. Dog years, it feels like 125. But
Right.
the way I can explain it is you almost have to go back in time, quite frankly. And if you go back in time 25 years, and you look at restaurant technology, it was extremely limited. I'm from an era that literally there were cash registers. There were not touchscreen POS.
Right.
If you went downtown Chicago, or they would point to an ATM machine because they didn't even take credit card at the time. So, back then you didn't have all this really cool technology, and we do. We have some great technology, but it's almost become too much to consume. And as a restaurateur, if you think about the restaurant industry, the restaurants in their essence have not changed. I mean, what is a restaurant? It's somewhere you order your food from. Now you've got a million different channels and a million ways of delivery. And to the restaurateur, they're still operating similarly with the same IT staff, same operation staff,
Yeah.
but being thrown a gauntlet of different technologies. And what do you pick? So that's where the problem has started.
Yeah, there's this overwhelming amount of technology that's available now to restaurants. And certainly with the influx of AI tools, and everybody has a new AI feature. Never mind the AI products themselves, there are AI features as well. The last time I checked on Zoom Info and you type in restaurant technology, you'll get anywhere between 7,000 and 14,000 companies that support the hospitality industry with technology. Okay. That's an insane number. And the reality is that when you look at from a marketing perspective and you look at your buyer personas, you have the tech buyer, you have the marketing stakeholder, the finance stakeholder, the operations people, right? And of course, the CEO as well. 5,000, 10,000, 14,000 companies are all vying for the same eyeballs.
Before I really went full bore in what we're doing, I interviewed probably 20 different restaurant brands, anywhere from 100 locations all the way up to 1,500, and talked to the CTOs and COOs. And let's just say CTOs in general, they all told me they're averaging between 100 and 150 touch points a day from vendors.
All right, repeat that for everybody, please.
100 to 150 touch points a day. The week before a trade show and the week after, they go, that can triple. And so when you're that busy and you're that short staffed, number one, how do you sift through all that? It's almost impossible.
Right. Yeah, that is absolutely overwhelming. So the pitches, it's an attention game now, right? Well, I mean, that's certainly the way that it seems to be shaping up, where we're only now trying to grab a sliver of somebody's attention.
Correct.
And from that sliver of attention, we're the salespeople that are up against an incredible, seemingly insurmountable odds of not only capturing somebody's attention, but capturing it in a way that gets them interested in what it is they're selling to
Right.
solve a problem that they might not even know they have.
Well, there's the vicious cycle. You already dropped AI in here and everything else. So let's just pretend and say you and I are brand new sales guys, just got a new job selling whatever. And that first 3 months is always the honeymoon period. You're learning
Right.
the product and getting
Right.
acquainted. And then, the second 3 months is really your friends and family, as I always call it, where you can call one of the people you've sold to in the past and you have limited success. I mean, if they're not looking for what you're selling, it doesn't matter. When you get into that third 3 months is where upper management really starts going, hey, we need more activity. Well, how do you
Right.
come up with more activity? You got to send more emails, make more phone calls. AI becomes part of this where you're generating a very generic, non personal email and firing out through sequence and HubSpot, let's say, and it's going out to 300 people a day. In fact, I just this morning I got 3 LinkedIn messages from vendors. Every one of them were verbatim
Yeah.
in the context of the body. I mean, you could tell it was AI. So when I read that, do they really have interest in my business? No. They're trying to hit their quota, their metrics, their quota metrics for the company they're working for so they don't lose their job.
That's right. So let's talk about the machine, right? Because this is what we're all kind of dealing with. We've built this machine over the past 10, 15 years of marketing tasked with creating leads, right? And they do that seemingly by any means necessary. We're creating leads at shows, we're creating leads with ebooks. Does anybody, ebooks, with emails, with incentives? The whole idea is we get people, we capture their information as marketers, right? And then we pass that along. Hopefully we qualify them saying, yeah, okay, these guys, they meet this and they meet that and they meet this. And they finally say, here's a marketing qualified lead, Matt. Here you go,
Oh,
friend. They took it upon themselves to forfeit some information, and they have then, they have said it's okay for you to talk to me, but don't make me hate you for it.
boy, isn't that the truth? I mean, anybody that tells you different, I've talked to so many salespeople this year. 2024 alone has been probably the most disruptive year for sales agents in general, where anybody will admit that selling into enterprise, I always kind of exclude SMB. That's a different animal, not one
Yeah.
that I play in either. But on the enterprise, I don't care what the product is, it's 9 to 12 months. And when I say 9 to 12 months,
Hmm.
it's going to be 9 to 12 months before you even get into a pilot. And then that could be another 3 months. And a lot of these companies are really trying to shorten that.
Right.
And it's not going to happen.
Right. So, Matt, with the machine that everybody is working with right now, that model, the 3-month honeymoon period,
Mhm.
followed by where's the traction, followed by where are the deals within a 12-month period. How is this even a moderately reasonable explanation anymore for tech vendors?
It, to some, yes, to some, no. So, and what I mean by that is in the POS world, okay, most of those companies understand that. And actually, they don't do the spray and pray method. Most of those companies do not. I'm going to give actually Q a shout out and say Q probably does it better than anybody,
Interesting.
where they have really good relationships and they've built them and cultivated them. But where I see it really fall apart is when you get into a lot of the older legacy products, where they're doing is they're basically, they're racing to the bottom. They're just trying to steal one another's business and hammer out a bunch of email. And that's actually trickled in. And one of the reasons I started my company is it trickled into the startup realm where you've got a lot of VC money in these startups, and the VC mentality is hire, 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 and just throw as much crap against the wall, see what sticks. And all they do is they end up getting blacklisted in a lot of ways. People
Yeah.
shut off their emails, send it to spam, and they can't figure out why they're not getting any traction.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see their vendor brand buyer fatigue is real.
Very much.
It's very real. And, in our own industry, we have something called order throttling, where a restaurant manager might just turn off digital sales right now. Well, the same thing for a CTO or a COO or whomever, their team members, they're getting inundated by vendor email and noise. Turn it off.
Well, I was telling you right before we recorded this today, is I have a very good friend in the industry who works for a medium sized chain. We've done business together for years, and he actually asked me to go out and find him a voice AI for phone orders, and we went out and did our research and found one. In fact, they're a client of ours now, Voicify. Give them a little plug there.
Yeah.
And we did a demo, and they loved it. And he actually asked for a quote and everything, and he went silent literally for 2 months. And I texted him, I'm like, "Are you okay?" And he texted me back. He goes, "I'm in a world of you know what." He goes, "I've got a new KDS that we're putting in. I've got a new loyalty program, and I got 3 stores opening by the end of the year." He goes, "It is still a priority. It's just not a priority right now." Now, I'm a friend of his. Can you imagine if you're someone he doesn't know and he's getting hit by you every day? He's probably never going to want to talk.
All right. This is a perfect segue to One Goal. So, Matt, you've been working on your One Goal consulting project now for a while. And from everything that I've heard and just from our conversations and me talking to other vendors out there, you're kind of crushing it, man. I mean, you've got a lot of clients now.
Yep.
Tell me, what are some of the strategies that One Goal's developed to kind of help these vendors cut through the noise?
Yeah, it really started back in March. I was kind of looking for what does Matt want to do next.
Yeah.
And I just had this feeling that there were brands that I could talk to virtually at any time. But did I really want to go to just one single vendor and only have that one thing that I could sell? Or did I really want to be able to go to these brands and sit down with them and say, "Hey, what's on the docket? What's paining you? What are your priorities for the next couple months or couple quarters, I should say?" It started from there, and it kind of blossomed. We started bringing more and more vendors. I think we're up to 9 vendors, soon to be 10 vendor clients, I call them.
Right.
All really cool technology. None of this is the old legacy. A lot of it is in the AI realm, cutting edge things that I truly believe the restaurants are going to want. And so,
but are also being inundated with 1,000
of course,
solutions that are new and novel.
So what we decided about halfway through the year is we would expand upon this. So now that we've got all these vendors, well, I need more people carrying the quiver of all the arrows. So we went out and we've now signed 17. I think we've actually got 17 sales agents signed. We've got another 5 contracts out. And some of these people are doing it part-time.
Where are you finding these sales agents?
Well, I've been in the industry a while.
Yeah.
So, most of them are either through me, Mike Falcone, my partner. He knows a lot of people. If I named names, everybody would know these are all veteran folks.
Yeah.
That either they're out of a job and they need to supplement their income while they find a new job. Some of them want to do this full time. Some of them are just doing it part time as they hear of things, with the whole goal of, listen, if you're a salesperson worth your salt, you should have 3 to 5 brands that you can pick up the phone and have a 30-minute.
Your friends and family network.
Right. And so all I've been doing and what I've been training everybody to do is just talk to your friends and family network and say, "Will you give me 30 minutes a month?" That's it. Mm-hmm. And the goal is not to come down and shove something down your throat. It's like, listen, what is it that you are in need of? We'll either have it in the stable of products we have, or we will go find it for you. And by the way, we do not charge the brands for this.
Right.
We make money through commissions and retainer fees, but make it very, very attractive for vendors because we're a very low entry point. And listen, having 20 some people out talking about your products.
Yeah. I love this idea, and let me make sure I'm getting this straight, and for our listeners too. What One Goal is putting together right here is, for all intents and purposes, a product sales organization. Or
Kind of like a manufacturer's rep.
now, I remember coming from back in the day. I worked in the consumer electronics industry for many years, and working on the manufacturer side, I had product reps all over the United States. I had a rep company in the Pacific Northwest, in the Southeast, and these rep manufacturers would have my product, and we would have, five or six or seven, eight different lines of products, none of which compete. Well, some have actually competed with each other. But the idea was that as a product rep, I can walk into a store or a restaurant brand, right, and say, I've got these great techs. I know all about them. I understand your business. I know how these things are going to fit.
Yep.
So you're basically modernizing it.
By this week, we launched our app. So we actually have an app now where all of our sales agents can go in and search by category what it is. So online ordering or drive through, and it'll show the company. It'll have a write up on them. It'll have all the one pagers. It'll have a deck. It'll have videos. It's all shareable through your phone. So imagine now we're at a trade show and all these reps are walking around. Well, they, instead of saying, well, here's my business card or whatever, you can sit there, scroll through it, and they go, oh, that's interesting. Well, I can airdrop it right to you, right from the phone.
Wow.
Just, and we've shown it to all of our vendor clients. They all love it. They think it's awesome. So that's how we're really trying to, we're revolutionizing the manufacturer.
So one of the things that's fascinating to me is, Popcorn is obviously a marketing, really a fractional marketing agency. For all intents and purposes, we help our clients. We have a limited set of clients that we can work with at any given time. But nonetheless, that time is spent developing messaging and materials and collateral for our technology vendor clients. Tell me a little bit about what is involved with you need to make your salespeople that you've vetted
Yep.
and have brought onto your team. You need to make them smart about all of these different technologies. Is it on the salespeople to be product experts, or are they merely getting the at bats for the?
Yeah, no, that was the whole premise of the name of our company, One Goal. Listen, you've heard it too. If I just had more at bats, I hear it all the time. Everybody always says, if you get me to the plate, I'm going to hit it, 80%, whatever.
Right.
That is what we do. We arm our people with just enough information. Think about the 3-minute elevator pitch. That is all they need to do. Our agents are never going to give a full blown demo. That's up to the vendor. They're never going to negotiate pricing. They're never going to negotiate contracts. It is legitimately just getting that at bat.
Yeah. And that's what the vendor wants. They want the at bat. And they don't necessarily want to entrust the demo to the salesperson. They want to entrust the demo to, perhaps, particularly for, I would assume, a lot of your clientele. These could be nascent companies, that are still very much founder driven, founder vision. And so there's a lot riding on that.
There is. And here's the other cool part about the app and where it does tie into marketing. All the agents are able to actually put comments in each one of the vendors like, hey, this is not resonating with our clients, where they can actually take some feedback and go, well, maybe we got to change our marketing. Maybe we need to do something to get more interest. Maybe it could even be that they've gotten to the demo part, but maybe there's some features missing, where this is real feedback, not just we're guessing. We're getting real life feedback from restaurants.
Well, I think that feedback, I'd have to imagine, is incredibly valuable to the vendors, really to everybody involved. And, it's funny, last week we had Tammy Billings on.
It was a great episode, by the way.
Yeah, she's a wizard. And she's talking about how the hiring process, and we're in this really weird position now with both staffing and buying and selling, all of the components that make this whole thing work. It feels like it's either being constricted or constrained by a really tight economy, or just the sheer magnitude of newness that's out there.
In my opinion.
And it's how much how much can a restaurant brand do? And you alluded to that in the story you told about your friend. It's like, listen, man, I got X, Y,
Yeah.
Z, A, B, and C. This is all great stuff, but how do we find the time? So I'm wondering, what is it that you see out there? Like, who are the vendors? You'd mentioned Q.
Mhm.
What are some other vendors you think that are out there that are still, that may be working with the machine or they're modifying it? Who's doing a good job on the vendor side that seems to really kind of have it
Well,
together
I
from
would
a
I
sales
would have to
perspective?
say any of the vendors
Yeah,
that are
of
up one goal, of
course.
course. I mean,
Of course.
that's an easy one. What's the one that I really like? Oh gosh, they do the inventory scanning.
Oh, Nomad?
Nomad Go.
Well, I
They-
think Nomad Go's got a great product, but do they have a great sales organization?
I think they've got good messaging.
They've got okay.
And frankly, that drives a lot. When you got good messaging and a great product,
Yeah.
sometimes the stars align. And I would say most of the POS companies, I don't want to just think like you, but I think most of the POS companies, they still believe in the relationship part
Yeah.
of the sale. And if you look at any of those organizations, most of them are not running with 10, 15, 20 salespeople. Most of them are only maybe five, where you see some of the loyalty companies may have 15,
Yeah.
20. I mean,
Dozens.
so, I think everybody's just, especially a lot of the legacy stuff is, again, they're just fighting. It's a race to the bottom. And a lot of the new startups driven by VC money. I mean, if you
Yeah.
really think about it, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, you didn't hear about a lot of VC
No, a
money.
lot of bootstrapping going on
It
back
was a
then.
lot of bootstrapping. And,
Yeah.
and, and, and when you're in that mode, it is not run and gun, hire a bunch of people. It's building the relationship.
Yeah.
And I really believe, you said it earlier, the economy's been a little tight. VC money has tightened up. A lot of companies have had to re-envision, well, shoot, how do we go to market? We're used to having all these feet on the street. And that's one of the things that One Goal solves.
Absolutely. One of the things that is always important is understanding what these restaurants brands long-term goals are.
Yeah.
Right. That might mean listening to earnings report calls, scanning through the financial documents, but understanding what the long-term strategies are of these restaurant brands and selling to them based upon them achieving those goals.
Yep.
And I'm not sure that that's not necessarily happening. I feel like it used to happen more, and today it feels like spray and pray. I think that was the term
Well,
used earlier.
yeah. Well, and it's not just that. I mean, one of the CTOs that I visited with early on in my venture here, I asked him, I go, what do you have for 2024? And he goes, I'll tell you what I got. He goes, I've got to go fix all the technology we've bought over the last 3 years. He goes, it's still not working the way we were promised. So you've got kind of this compounding issue where you've got all these people saying, well, you've got to do AI and you've got to do this and you got to do that. And they're like, that's great, but I can't even get the stuff that I've already purchased to
Yeah.
work together very well. And now they're a little gun shy because, man, there's a little bit of a trust issue as well.
Yeah.
What they're purchasing is actually going to do what they were sold on.
That brings up a really interesting point. I mean, one of my clients, Kerbit, is finding tremendous success, frankly, through their partnerships. Because here's the thing. If you're a technology vendor, and if you're a relatively new technology vendor, meaning like less than 3 years old,
Yeah.
your number one priority should be working well with others. Getting that integration with the gatekeepers, getting that integration with Toast, getting that integration with Olo, getting that integration with QSR automations, getting that all of these different integrations, because what you just highlighted, Matt, is something that I think most technologies buyers and sellers struggle with. And that is these apps fulfilling their promises because they don't necessarily have the bonds that tie the stack together. So when you're looking at, but that's one of the things that, as a product rep, I'm wondering, do you consider these technology companies that you're bringing on these vendors, are you getting them together to work with one another? Is that something?
Absolutely.
Love it.
Absolutely.
Love
We're
it.
doing, we even have one of our vendors is called Kumbu.
Hmm.
A lot of people are calling them Omnivore 2.0. And the reason they call it 2.0 is Omnivore was an API translation layer between the app and the POS. And Kumbu can do that, but there's other people that do that as well. I mean, you can go on Ola Rails or Chowly, but
Yeah.
what they're really trying to do, and I love Raul over at Kumbu, he said it best. He's trying to be the referee between the apps. So
Yeah.
what you have a lot of going on is you got apps and they're like, no, you write to us, no, you write to us, and then they both try to write to one another and it doesn't work and they're pointing fingers. He actually can sit in between those two and write the integration between them.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I've been trying to make sure that our tech stack is very comprehensive. That
Right.
we all the pieces and parts, knock on wood, fit together.
Yeah. I love that. I love having a product portfolio that you can open up to a potential client and saying, no fear here. These companies actually all work together too. So there's an opportunity that if you need something in this space, we vouch for these guys. And we also know that their tech talks to with each other.
Yes.
That that's killer. Matt, I before we change gears here, I want to get to one of my favorite segments of the show called Hate to Tell You But, where you get to bust a myth in our space. But before we get there, I want to talk a little bit more about decision fatigue and how one goal is helping to improve the sales process. Tell me a little bit about how, you're bringing in reps and how are they're doing demos once a month. How does it work?
So what we're training them all on is listen, take your 3 to 5, brands that will talk to you once a month.
Yeah.
And just tell them, listen, will you give me 30 minutes? I'm not going to take long, unless they want to take longer. Just tell them, let's talk for 30 minutes and we can jump on the phone and they could just, like my buddy, could say, I'm in a world of you know what? I can't talk until January 1st.
Right.
You know what? 5-minute conversation, we're done. Could come back the next month and he goes, all right, I got through that. Now let me tell you what I need. More than likely, we're going to have it in our stable of products. And if we don't, we will go out and find them. Okay. So that's number one. Number two, and this just literally just happened, we have another vendor who's really killing it in the pizza space. So they've got Marco's Pizza and some other brands. And they're like, how do we get in front of more pizza places? I
Yeah.
made a list of a bunch of pizza brands. I shot it out to all 17 of our sales agents and said, hey, pick which ones you have relationships with, send them a snippet of Voicify and some facts and figures. We literally in 24 hours got a couple brands that were like, yeah, we want to talk.
Love
Because
it.
again, they trust the sales agent.
That's right.
And if the sales agent they trust is bringing this to them, they're going to take a look.
Yeah, I love that because it boils back down to trust.
Mm-hmm.
When you're not asking your sales reps to greenfield everything, or rather, to capitalize on the relationships that they already have, that makes it better for the sales rep, and that makes it better for the seller, for the buyer as well.
Right.
Uh, all right, and we're back with Morning Sam, Morning Ralph by Popcorn. I'm here with Matt Haselhoff, and we are having a really cool conversation about the sales machine and how it's broken in our industry and what we can do to try to fix it. Matt's and his One Goal Consulting has put together a new model that, frankly, is grabbing a tremendous amount of traction in a very short period of time. And I'm very excited. As someone in this industry that can appreciate fixing broken things, kudos to Matt. Matt, we're going to go to this section now of our program called Hate to Tell You But. And this is where you get to bust a myth. You get to tell us what's really going down. What's your Hate to Tell You But?
Well, obviously, we've already touched a little bit on this, but sending 50 emails a day might look good to upper management, might look good to the investors. It's not getting you anywhere any quicker. Number one, and number two, and this one, it literally came to me this morning because every morning, 7 o'clock, I sit down with my coffee and I go, first thing I do is go on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And it occurred to me that, boy, if you look back even 5, 10 years ago, you saw a lot more CTOs and COOs of brands that were pretty vocal
Yeah.
on LinkedIn. And boy, I got to tell you, over the last year or two, they have quieted way down from where they used to be. And then the reason why is because now that's become almost the new email. It used to be phone calls, and then it was email. Now it is LinkedIn Messenger, and now they're just getting bombarded there. And they're using LinkedIn. And listen, I'm guilty of it as well.
Sure.
What they're doing is spray and pray, and they're doing it through LinkedIn. And guess what? That's not working either. What is working is, I keep saying, man, it takes a village. If
Yeah.
you're part of the kind of the village of trusted advisors in this industry, and there's a lot of us out there. It's when you're kind of part of that group, that's how things really get done.
Yeah. Sending that extra email is probably not doing anybody any good. On top of that, people are turning off LinkedIn, even myself, right? I'll wake up in the morning and one of the first things I do with my coffee, I go to LinkedIn and I say, well, what's going on here? And sometimes it's the same loud voices over and over again, and as a marketer, it's really dangerous because I'm tempted at times just to be like, all right, I think I'm done with this for a while, because ultimately what you're trying to do is you want the content to be useful. You want the content to be helpful. The whole purpose of LinkedIn is it's a learning platform at the
Correct.
end of the day. We call it a social platform, but really it's a learning platform. And where I'm finding I'm spending a lot more time is actually YouTube. YouTube
Yeah.
is arguably the greatest learning platform that ever lived or has ever been invented. And so how long LinkedIn is going to be effective is, people are going to continue to do it, but I think the content we have to be a little bit more careful with how we post and what we post. A little
Totally.
more strategic, a little less behind the curtain and look, I read a book today,
Oh,
that thing.
listen, there's still some great content on LinkedIn. I mean, there's a
Yeah.
lot of books I love reading, but there is a lot more advertising
Yeah.
going on than ever, and that's not what I do. I mean, I can honestly say I don't. Other than when I announced one goal, I don't think I've ever people don't see me a lot on LinkedIn.
No, I think,
I comment on things more than I like to promote.
yeah,
That's just kind of how I.
it's really a funny and a tricky line, because the reality is there's only so many channels for which we could try to either influence decision making or just be a valuable member of the community that
Yep.
is contributing valuable information. How many different outlets do we have? If you're not on YouTube, do you have the luxury of going to all of these shows?
That's getting tough too nowadays.
Do you have a patron that is willing to spend anywhere between $5,000 and $10,000 every time you go to one of these shows?
Yep.
And then the vendors must be asking themselves, is it worth my time going to these shows anymore? Like, is it?
Listen, I've had brands literally tell me, and this is crazy. They go, the next time we go to a show, when they scan your badge,
Yeah.
they want the information to come to me. They don't even want the information. They go, we want to scan it, have it go to your email, and then at the end of the show, we're going to tell you, hey, there were a couple different technologies. You go vet them out, because they just don't want to be bugged.
Yeah. Matt, I really do believe you're onto something with this product manufacturer's rep model, which is borrowing from the old school, but may absolutely be the most necessary thing that we have in our industry today to get something pushed through and done. It's banking on a smaller group of representatives that have the relationships, as opposed to each company trying to do it all on their own.
Yep.
And that's where the noise is created. When you have all of these companies acting in unison, it just clogs the machine, man.
Well, I call it connecting the dots. So if I've got 10 vendors, okay, and they've got clients, we start kind of connecting dots between all of them, and then you have all the sales agents, and they connect all the dots. That's where when I talk about the village,
Mm.
that's what I mean by that. Is it's really powerful when you've got a bunch of people willing to work in unison, which is why, by the way, I don't have any competing products in my line card, because that would be, number one, a little disingenuous on my part by
I was wondering how you're gonna,
yeah,
how
no,
you.
no, no, no. What we try to do is we try to vet out what we believe is best of breed. It doesn't mean every brand is going to believe the same thing, but I do. When you start connecting the dots and helping one another out, that's really powerful then. Literally having vendors talk to one another is, hey, yeah, I'll get you in there if you get me in here. And that has been happening, but
Yeah.
this is just a much tighter circle. And we're pretty free about talking about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And harkening back again to earlier in my career in consumer electronics, if I was with one manufacturer and I'm working with a product rep in the Southeast that carried a different manufacturer, but that different manufacturer had a great relationship with Sound Advice or whatever, Florida based
Yep.
retailer, then now I can kind of be carried on the back a little bit of these other manufacturers. It's almost like you're now amplifying your reach by your affiliation with these other brands in this product rep's portfolio, right?
100%.
So, with that being said, I I, I do want to ask you one more thing about your sales model, and that is with regard to territories. Are you managing your sales staff as it grows? Are you starting to territory them out?
So, I mean, number one, these are all 1099 sales agents.
Okay.
I can't tell them what to do, what not to do. All I can do is give them really cool tools like our app to
Yeah.
make it really simple, and pay really good commissions to keep their interest. And no, there is no territory. I mean, they're competing against the same people at their job, normal job anyway. So
Yeah.
nothing really changes. It really comes down to the relationship at the end of the day.
Great stuff, man. Listen, before we go, tell us how to connect with you. I would love for you to tell how vendors connect with you, how interested sales professionals connect with you, how restaurant brands connect with you.
Yeah, obviously LinkedIn is a great one. You can connect with me in LinkedIn with Matt Haselhoff. You can also go to onegoalconsulting.com. We do have
Great.
a web page. And then my email address and everything is in my LinkedIn profile. You can reach out to me LinkedIn or DM me. And thank you, by the way, because I am going to be putting up here pretty soon hiring. I wish there was a little thing that said recruiting, not hiring, because technically I'm not hiring, I'm recruiting sales agents. That'll be going up next week. So we're looking to expand more and more sales agents. Again, we're looking for volumes of really good veteran salespeople.
Veterans, right.
We're not searching for anybody that has a heartbeat.
Yeah.
These got to be qualified agents that we trust in the industry.
Beautiful. Hazelhoff, it's always good, man. Okay, everybody, listen, subscribe to the podcast, share the episode, rethink your approach to restaurant tech sales. This is Morning Sam, Morning Ralph, and we're clocking out. Good job, Maddie.
Thank you.
Take it easy, brother.
You too.